Storytelling is extremely important in any piece of media, whether it be TV shows, video games, movies. Anything that tells a story needs storytelling. And in gacha games, I have an issue with it. I'm looking at you, Honkai Star Rail. I'm looking directly at you. Now, as you're all aware, Honkai Star Rail has just released its 3.7 update, and I made a video on it already talking about its absolutely bonkers monetization practices and how it's ridiculous. I still stand by that. However, I did want to at least experience the finale of Amphoreous to see if they had improved on anything about storytelling, and as a matter of fact, they haven't. Ladies and gentlemen, it's sellout time. This video is sponsored by LD Shop. This super handy website is a safe and reliable way to get your top-ups, battle passes, and monthly cards for less. LD Shop covers lots of games like HSR, ZZZ, and of course, my favorite, Wuthering Waves. With these games, you can get guaranteed 5-star bundles and top-ups for a discounted price, meaning that you get more bang for your buck. To top up your Lunites, simply follow these instructions. First off, select your item, then click top up to proceed, apply your coupons and then select a payment method. Once you've paid, submit your game account details. Then the LD Shop team will handle the top up for you. Make sure not to log into the game during this process. Once the process is complete, they will log out and wipe all login records. And once that's done, you'll receive a notification. Make sure to log into your game afterwards to check if everything's there. And enjoy! If you're still unsure about privacy issues, you can always change your password afterwards for that extra peace of mind as well. And if you're an avid spender, you can bind your LD Shop account to your Wuthering Waves account for more convenient future purchases. For those who register using my link in the description, you'll receive a 15% off coupon with no minimum spend, and a cheeky 5% off bonus coupon from me as well, racking up total potential savings of $50. And for all the whales out there, if you spend $80 in a month, you can claim a free Lunite Subscription. Be sure to claim it on the homepage if you're eligible. Once again, if you're looking for a safe and reliable way to top up your account for less, use my link and use LD Shop. Now, back to your regular scheduled programming. So the reason I'm making this video is to point out why this is actually so important, because I love Wuthering Waves. It is my favorite gacha game. And I do believe that its storytelling is the best out of the sort of mainstream ones. You can argue that some lesser known gacha games may have better storytelling. I haven't played them. I don't know. I'm only going off of what I know. While HSR, on the other hand, has a lot of really interesting premises for its stories, yet the storytelling makes it boring as fuck. Now, at the end of the day, if you enjoy the story, that's fine. I enjoyed the writing of it. I did not enjoy the way it was portrayed at all. I feel like it was the most boring piece of media that I can ever consume. And this goes for 3.0 up to 3.7. This has been a problem in Star Rail for a long time. And it's the sheer amount of story that you have to consume. Now, of course, you can just say, well, don't do it all in one go. Well, no, I want to get really immersed and experience it. Well, if you don't like it, just skip it. That, in my opinion, is such a cop-out answer. Because what if you do enjoy the writing? What if you do want to, look at the story, but don't have 8 hours to complete one story out of 7? And this is where the problem lies, because I feel like if you are going to tell a story, you do not need 8 hours to tell a singular story. Mind you, I think I saw a video that said all of Honkai Star Rail stories, like a playthrough of it, from 3.0 to 3.7, it was 55 hours long. You genuinely cannot sit there and say that all 55 hours of that is good sufficient content. Because when I play through a Honkai Star Rail story, maybe about 2/3 of the jargon that people say is absolutely irrelevant to the story. It's like they're trying to write an essay and trying to reach a extremely high word count. There is no need for a lot of the jargon that they speak of in these stories. And because they speak so much jargon, these scenes get bloated and stretched and basically go on for ages. I'm actually going to tell you guys a personal story of mine. So, I believe it was either 3.3 or 3.2. I had the story on auto because I was trying to listen to it, but obviously not going at my own pace because that would actually be even slower. Tried to go at the game's pace. I had to go have my dinner. I made my dinner, and that took me around 20 minutes. Obviously, I had it in the living room because I'm not going to sit here and, have my dinner while watching a Star Rail thing. And then I come back, and I'm still watching the same two characters talking. I am not even kidding. I am not even kidding. What could possibly warrant a scene going on for 20 minutes? In all honesty, I forgot that I left it on, but I'm kind of glad I did, because this sort of just made me realize just how much of an issue this is. Because I feel like no matter how good your writing is, if your storytelling is completely dogshit, which Star Rail's is, let's be real, it just hinders the story so much. It turns your brain off in a way where it's like, oh, I really don't care anymore. Because at the end of the day, you just want to get it done. Of course, you can always dip out of the story, which is fair enough. But when you have all these pending things to do, the story is just that one huge big obstacle that you just have to get over. This big hurdle that you have to get over. So you're stuck with a decision. You either have to skip it to get it over with, or you have to endure hours upon hours upon hours of it. Because I feel like there are moments, especially in each and individual Honkai Star Rail story, where you have like 7 hours of bloat and then an hour of peak, like an hour including boss fights and stuff like that. That's usually how it goes, and again, that is how it was for 3.7. It's literally copy paste formula, 6 hours of talking, half an hour of peak. That's just how Honkai Star Rail is. To be honest with you, you don't need 6 hours of talking. You only need 2 hours, because this is why I'm going to compare it to Wuthering Waves now. This is why Wuthering Waves is in the thumbnail and why I'm actually covering this in the first place, because if it's just about Star Rail, who the fuck cares, right? This is why Wuthering Waves, in my opinion, has better stories than Honkai Star Rail. I'm not talking about writing, because I feel like Star Rail's writing is a lot better if you were to objectively compare the two, but I'm talking about stories now. I'm talking about how it makes you feel, how it immerses you, stuff like that. Wuthering Waves has better stories because it respects your time a lot more. If we go back to the 55 hours thing, I'm actually pretty sure that you could probably smash out 1.0 of Wuthering Waves to 2.7 of Wuthering Waves in 55 hours. You can smash out the whole game in that time, maybe even have some time to have a little sleep in that time. And I'm also pretty sure that Star Rail from 1.0 up to the end of Penacony is less time than amphoreous. Who is actually going to sit there and say all 55 hours of that is really good? And who's going to say that you need 55 hours to tell a story? You really don't. Guys, don't forget, 2 days, like 2 whole days, is 48 hours. So you are going past 2 days. If somebody wanted to do a marathon of the Honkai Star Rail story from the beginning of 3.0, they would be sat there for 2 consecutive days. No breaks, no toilet breaks, nothing. I feel like I can compare 2 very good examples here between the 2 games. Comparing Waves at it again. 2.2 Wuthering Waves story. Took about 2.5 hours. Had a really, really good ending. Now, a lot of people said that it was a lot of talking, but it still only took about 2 hours to get to the good stuff. Meanwhile, in Honkai Star Rail 3.7, the finale, the ending, I would say, objectively is very good. At the end of the day, I did not really like 3.7 that much because it did focus a lot on Cyrene. It was really obvious that they were just trying to sell her, which, people complain about a lot in Wuthering Waves, and I understand that. But it's just so obvious in HSR this time that it just feels, it just takes you out of it quite a bit. But if you compare it to 3.7, it had about maybe 6.5 hours of talking and then about 45 minutes, 30 minutes of really good stuff. And that is the problem. You do not need 6 hours to tell a story, because at the end of the day, you also have to factor in that stories are prolonged by other things like world exploration. Now, Star Rail does not have that excuse because the worlds are very linear, while Wuwa is open world. Now, Genshin also falls into that category where it's open world, but its storytelling, I would say, is not as bad as Wuthering Waves. I say that, but just look at that Nod Cry intro again. Zenless Zone Zero as well has linear sort of worlds, linear worlds. They're obviously trying to expand that with hollows and stuff. But even their stories are not as long as Star Rail stories. I would say that ZZZ is slightly on the bloated side, but clearly not as much as Genshin or Star Rail. Now, why am I making this video? Because I feel like Star Rail is clearly quote-unquote advertised as a story game. People enjoy it for the story, and I don't knock people for enjoying it for the story, to be honest, because I can see why they enjoy it. But if you're going to advertise it as a story game, you need to up the things that make it a story. For example, the storytelling. Obviously, you can compare that to Wuwa and say, well, Wuwa's not a story game, so it has shorter stories, but then it has better storytelling. The animations, less black screen white text, or black screen white text used in better scenarios, and just less bloat in general. I could go on forever about how much I hate bloat in stories. There are moments in Star Rail stories where it feels urgent, yet you are taking absolutely forever to get to wherever you need to be, because it just takes forever to get there because of the story and how many things you have to do. And at the end of 3.7, you literally get black screen white text saying "the end" in capital letters, and then guess what? The story's not over. You've still got a bit more to do. Granted, it's only a few minutes, but seriously? The end, right? The end? That usually means that it's the end. But no, they don't know how to tell stories. They know how to write them, they just don't know how to tell them. Put Wuthering Waves storytelling team with HSR's writing team, and I think it might do bits. But that is a serious problem in gacha games. It's the storytelling aspect. You could argue that Wuwa's is not as good as like other games in the market, like Expedition 33, and that is completely true. I feel like E33's storytelling is a lot better. I'm sure a lot of these other games that are actually story focused, that aren't gacha games, have better storytelling than all these gacha games out there, which is another problem in and of itself. But what matters is what's sufficient. I think Wuwa's storytelling is sufficient, at least. Honkai Star Rail's is not. It's quite ironic that I've made a bloated video talking about bloat in a game that I do not play, but I just did want to see, because I did have a video like this in this similar sort of ballpark lined up saying how storytelling redefined the gacha genre, and it was going to be about Wuthering Waves' storytelling. But I just thought I would make it a bit more ranty, because I wanted to get a lot of things off of my chest. But it's good to see, even though HSR's making boatloads of money, that they will not improve their storytelling one bit. Granted, you can skip it, but if you want to consume a good story, you shouldn't have to sacrifice skipping everything. But yes, thank you all so much for coming to this video. What do you guys think? I know storytelling is subjective, so you guys might be able to take the bloat a lot more than I do, but at the end of the day, some people just don't have time to sit through 55 hours of story. People that can only play 2 hours a day, for example, if they only do story and nothing else, then they would at least have to spend like 25, 27 days on the story. But yes, what do you guys think? I'll see you on the next one. Thank you all so much for listening to this rant. Bye bye for now.